This tutorial is about the Pythagorean theorem. You have more than likely heard that the formula for it is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You probably never knew up until now that that's called the Pythagorean theorem. So what we have to know first is that these two sides that create that right angle are called legs. And this long side that's directly opposite of that right angle is called the hypotenuse. So it only works with right triangles. You have to keep that in mind. It doesn't work on any other triangle, just right triangles. So what I've done is I've drawn squares off of each side of this triangle. Because a squared, we're going to say that 3 is a. If I were to square a, 3 times 3 gives me 9 centimeters squared. And if I were to square b, 4 times 4 gives me 16 centimeters squared. That is the same as the hypotenuse squared. So 5 times 5 gives me 25 centimeters squared. So 9 plus 16 does equal 25. So this indeed is a right triangle. Okay. All right, so let's see how this actually works with an example or two. All right, oftentimes you are asked to find the hypotenuse. All right, so we start with our formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, so I just start plugging them in. Remember, your legs are the a and the b because they form that right angle. So a, I'm going to say, is 7. B is 24. And I'm looking for c squared. So I'm going to leave it just like that. Okay, I'm going to need my calculator here in a minute. We know that 7 squared is 49. Now 24 squared, 24 times 24 gives me 576. And I know that that's equal to c squared. All right, so I'm going to add plus 49 gives me 625. So I need to figure out what c is. Since c is squared in my formula, I need to find the square root. That'll leave me with c. So the square root, we're going to do square root of 625, of course. Square root of 625 equals 25. All right, so the length of the hypotenuse is 25 inches. Now, you don't always have to find the hypotenuse. Sometimes you have to find either leg of the whatever's missing here. So we're going to say that this is B. It doesn't matter if it's A or B. It's going to work the same. So again, start with your formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We're going to say A is 8. B, I don't know. C is 14. Well, 8 squared is 64. Leave that b squared as is, and 14 times 14 gives me 196. All right, and this is like a two-step equation, okay? Ends up being 2 steps. You're going to subtract 64 from both sides to isolate that b squared. So minus 64 gives me 132. Second step, you want to find the square root, so I isolate b all by itself. So if I do the square root of 132, it's not a perfect square, so it will end up giving you a decimal. And let's round that to the nearest tenth. So you'd have 11.5. So b would be 11.5 meters. Okay, so one more time, they'll either ask you to find the hypotenuse or they'll ask you to find a leg. Okay, and it only works with right triangles. Your formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I hope this helps.